Our topic today is drive-by blessings. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, would spend a long time in prayer because, like C.S. Lewis says, that our prayer doesn't change God, prayer changes us. And so we spend a long time in prayer to change our inner consciousness. So if there was something that he wanted healing on, he wouldn't do these 5-minute quick prayers. He would spend a long time shifting his consciousness through a lot of words, a lot of presence to whatever the issue was, until not only he believed that it happened, but until he knew that he knew that he knew that the healing had happened. And so I invite you this week, if you have time, to try doing a long prayer, to maybe pick one quality of God: abundance, love, peace, joy, any quality that you want to expand or deepen in. And like we would in meditation, time it and see if you can pray about it for 10 minutes without stopping or without getting distracted and start praying for every other thing. Just focus on one quality of God and just keep praying to know and understand that one quality of pure spirit. So if it's abundance, for 10 minutes. And that was still just the beginning. I mean, he would spend an hour in prayer. So just see if you can just do one of these long prayers. So that's a lot of the tradition in which we are raised, is to really, through prayer, the power of prayer, shifting our inner consciousness about the external world. And then I was trained at Agape, which is the minister's Reverend Michael Beckwith. And if you're not familiar with Reverend Michael, when he prays for a long time and with a lot of energy and dynamism. And so do all the practitioners. And I remember when I was first in classes there, I did a very short affirmative prayer, and the practitioner sort of patted me on the head. It's like, you'll get there. You'll learn how to do a long prayer soon. And I was like, oh. So I have all this training about the long prayers, and I believe in long prayers and shifting our consciousness, and even doing it collectively. So we're all shifting our consciousness together over a period of time. So I know and believe in the power of that. So when I first became a minister at Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, I started dating my beloved husband, Jack. And we'd be driving down the freeway, and he'd go, blessings, blessings, blessings. And I'd say, well, what was that? And he said, oh, we just passed a car that's off to the side of the road, so I just send him blessings. Now, I never told him this, but I judged him for that. I'm like, blessings, blessings, blessings. What kind of prayer is that? Let's get going here, dude. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, if I'm judging him, I should start praying for these cars too. So every time we'd see a car, he'd go blessings, 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 and I'm doing a whole 5-step affirmative prayer. And it was exhausting, and I just wasn't into it. So what would happen is I would just sort of not pay attention anymore because it would require me to do a long prayer that I really wasn't that engaged in. What's funny, though, is because he always says it out loud, and he always does it, and Julian, from birth on, is in our car. At a very young age, Julian starts to do it. So every time he sees a car on the road, he joins Jack. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And if you can't beat him, you join him. So that I started doing with Jack and Julian blessings, blessings, blessings. So now when we drive down the freeway and we see cars on the side, in whatever form, we just all say together, blessings, blessings, blessings. And that, my friend, is what a drive-by blessing is. It's a wonderful expression of recognizing what's happening around us, that we see what's happening around us and we acknowledge it. It's a moment of paying attention and acknowledging that we have no idea what the story is behind why a car's on the side of the road. It could be a million different stories, but we acknowledge that something's happened to leave a car there, and we're blessing it. We're extending our heart and our light. We've been visioning as the practitioner core about what the vision is to be a house of prayer. And one of the visions that was received was that the Lighthouse is actually a very small, narrow building. The power of the Lighthouse comes from within, but then it shines everywhere. All the air, all the ocean, all the land, that it's 360 degrees. It's impacting the world around him. And to me, that's what it means to be a house of prayer, a blessing where all the walls dissolve and we're blessing through our drive-by blessings. Everything that we see, taste, touch, and smell. That the prayers go out far beyond the walls. That's the beauty of the lighthouse, as it shines its light in 360 degrees, impacting the world around it. Though it's very small, it's having a huge impact. That's the power of prayer. I want to at least talk about what a blessing is. I see Barbara here, who goes to the Unitarian Church. This is not to be meant as anything. I love the Unitarian Church. I've spoken there. The community's great. But I did hear this joke when I was little, so it's not to offend anyone. But it did make me laugh. Because I've also been to some Unitarian churches where it's very philosophical, looking at all the different views, but sometimes not maybe as spiritual. Should I tell this joke? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So this guy gets a Maserati car, and he goes to a rabbi, and he says, "Will you bless my new car?" And the rabbi says, "No, we don't do that here." So he goes to a priest. He says, "Will you bless my..." Oh, no. He goes, "What's a Maserati?" And he goes, "Oh, forget it." So he goes to the priest. He says, I'm terrible at telling jokes. "Will you bless my Maserati?" And the priest goes, "Well, what's a Maserati?" And he's like, "Forget it, never mind." He goes to a Unitarian minister, goes, "Will you bless my Maserati?" And the Unitarian minister says, "What's a blessing?" What is a blessing? We're extending our sincere, benevolent wishes to another being of light from our heart to your heart. We're extending our goodness. Now, in traditional religions, there was such a hierarchy. That's why they understood it. In many ways, there was a feeling that only the clergy could bless things. And what we know is that every one of us is a place of blessing, that we can extend our good wishes. And what I love about this book is you don't have to even believe in the divine. Extending our sincere, benevolent wishes from the bottom of our heart to someone's heart. You don't have to evoke some great spiritual presence. And yet, that is the power. It really starts to become powerful when we recognize the principle behind a blessing. And that is the divine presence of pure spirit is infinitely good. It's infinitely powerful. This good is infinitely powerful, and it's infinitely present. It's omnipresent and omnipotent. So what Thomas Troward, who taught at the turn of the century, taught, and we now are seeing it in quantum physics, in the holographic universe, how all time and all space can be contained in one moment. In one pinprick, the entire universe exists. Another way of saying that is the entire cosmos is within us as we are in the entire cosmos. So, a way that I really grasped how this works, when we dream at night, we're one person dreaming, but we dream a whole story, right? And we've learned, what the dream teachers tell us, is that we're all aspects of the story. We're all the different characters, we're all the different stories. We're not just one thing, and we can shape-shift. That's what that holographic universe is. One presence, and all of it is contained in that pinprick of a moment. So the moment we recognize and bless something outside of us, seeming outside of us, we're actually blessing. It's within us. The cosmos is within us. It's a holographic universe. Everything external is internal. So in fact, the blessing is impacting that moment in time and space, that person who owns the car, and as we heard in the reading today, we extend these drive-by blessings to the hospitals, to the prisons, to as we're driving by, walking by. We can do these wonderful, quick blessings everywhere we go. And the moment we think blessings, we're thinking the omnipotent goodness of God is right where you are. And in that moment, it has an impact. Because there's no time or space. There's no separation between myself and that person that I'm blessing. I don't need to know who they are. I don't need to know their story. We're absolutely one all of the time. So it's conscious recognition. It's paying attention. What we put our attention on increases. So every time we're blessing, we're acknowledging the power and the presence of the always already goodness of pure spirit to be fully realized in each and every moment. That's the what. What is a blessing? And how do we bless? There's no ritual. See, sometimes some of us have come from a background where there's a way to bless. There's a ritual to do, the right words to say. There is no formula. We can say whatever we want. We can say blessings, blessings, blessings. And in that moment, Jack, Julian, and I all know what we mean by that. The infinite goodness of God is right where that whole situation is, not just people. The situation, the circumstance. And we know the omnipotent good is already there. To be clearer about this principle, for those of you who are new, when I say the infinite goodness of God, that is an absolute quality where there is no opposite. When we move into the relative world, what we mean by the relative world is there's good and then there's bad. There's duality. That's part of what creation is. So creation is always temporary. It's always changing. It's always moving. But as we move higher and higher or deeper and deeper into the absolute essence of our being, that which we call bad dissolves into the nothingness from which it came. There is no opposite to good. There is no, in the absolute level where it's not changing, there is no opposite to love. There is no opposite to beauty. There is no opposite to the infinite goodness of pure spirit. So when I'm saying we're blessing from that infinite nature of pure spirit that is always good where there is no opposite, when we say blessings, we're acknowledging that which is behind appearances. We are not blessing the appearance. And that's really, really important for us to understand, that we are not blessing the appearance. We are blessing the truth behind the appearance, that regardless of what's showing up in the world of relative and temporary form, that's temporary, and we are blessing the absolute truth. So that's what a blessing is, and that's extraordinarily powerful because there is a holographic universe. I, for that one moment, know the infinite, absolute goodness of pure spirit behind whatever the appearance is. I'm connecting with that absolute truth in whatever that situation or person is, and it starts to shift things. So however I want to do that, the how is whatever speaks to you, whatever the languaging is that fits you. The person who wrote this book, Pierre Pradervan, I think his name is. I have a hard time with the last name. Pradervan, I don't know. I heard it and they said it in a French accent, and I can't do the French accent. He said he's been doing this, working on blessing for 22 years, and that he's changed it over the years. Right now, his blessing is, he has a line that he uses. He said, to everyone he meets, in his head he's saying, Namaste, I love you. I bless you in your divine perfection and in your total happiness. So you're passing a car, the hood's up, fire's coming out. I bless you in your total happiness and your divine perfection. That's not the appearance, but we are seeing beyond the appearance. That's the power, the infinite, incredible power of a blessing. We are not going by the appearances, by what's behind it. That's why we are on the spiritual journey. That's why you were called here to be here today, is to remind us all how powerful this practice is, and that the more we practice it, the more alive and real it becomes. That it's just words until we actually are practicing it. So the invitation is, I'm sorry, can we close the doors back there? There's a whole little world happening out there. There's a lot happening behind appearances. And that we need to stay there and be reminded to be there, because appearances really want us to stay there at the level of appearances. And so we have to push beyond it. As I'm reading this book, The Gentle Art of Blessing, what has amazed me is I have not read a single thing that I haven't read before. I haven't had a single aha, like, oh, that's a new way of seeing it. Nope, this is all. But I love reading it, and it's a pretty easy book to read. You can read it pretty quickly, but I'm making myself read a little bit at the time, because it's every day it's reminding me, bless everything, bless everything. As long as I've been on this journey, I forget all the time how powerful this practice is and how it's needed. And so as we as a community really embrace this practice. Where do we do this practice? Everywhere. When do we do this practice? All the time. As much as we possibly can. Why do we do this practice? Because it works. Last week, Julian had to go into the doctor's for his physical to play football. And we've been with his doctor ever since he was little. I love his doctor. It's at Kaiser, and they're all so nice. But this past week when I went, the receptionist just seemed really flustered and just gruff, like, hurry up. And which was very unlike them. And the nurse, like, it was just sort of this agitation that I was feeling with all of them. And so I asked the receptionist, I said, you all seem pretty tired. Are you really tired? She says, oh, everybody is coming in this week for their physicals before school starts, and it's just overwhelming, and we're just really tired. And so I was compassionate. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. And then I start reading The Gentle Art of Blessing. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to bless them, too. Totally had forgotten. I'm in the middle of this, and I totally had forgotten. But the point I want to make is compassion is when we meet somebody where we are. I feel your pain. I'm with you. I'm meeting you. But we don't want to end with just compassion. After the compassion, after I meet you, in our head, then we bless what is actually true. I hear that I hear for you, or for yourself. This is also all for ourselves. I am in pain. I am physically not feeling well, emotionally not feeling well, mentally not feeling well. I hear it, I feel it, and at the same time I bless myself with the actual truth. I bless you with what the actual truth is that the infinite goodness, the infinite happiness, the infinite joy, the infinite peace, the infinite health, the infinite abundance is who you are right here and right now. And I bless that and know that about you. We activate that principle. So I did, and I noticed that doctors and nurses that way, and so I'm waiting in the waiting territory, reading the book, blessing everybody, because I had forgotten to do that while I wasn't judging them instead. Compassionate, and I like, just, stop being so gruff with us. I like nice people. I'm like, oh, I forgot to bless. So I'm blessing them, not thinking anything of it, because Julian's going to come out and we're going to leave. So he comes out, and then I thought, oh, I forgot something. I forgot to ask the doctor something. So I went back in, and the nurse was just like crazy nice. And I didn't even make the connection. I'm like, wow, she's really changed. Maybe she's just happy to get rid of us. And I'm thinking, why is she so happy? And then I was walking, and then we were walking back out, and I thought, oh, I forgot I blessed him. I blessed him. It works. It works so fast. When we're blessing people on the sideway, we don't see the results most of the time. A lot of the time, we don't see the results. And I really believe the reason why I forgot something to go back in was Spirit just hitting me over the head, because I can forget how powerful this practice is, how immediate this practice is, how people shift instantly. And someone can say, well, of course that worked. Of course we know that works. May we never lose our childlike wonder and awe every time we see the miracles of Spirit alive and awake in the people around us. So when we're at Starbucks, I bless you. I hold you. We see someone in line who's taking too long. I bless you. Someone's cutting you off. Using his blessing, namaste, I love you. I bless you and the divine perfection and total happiness that you are. Just every situation and circumstance, we begin to bless because it works. Sometimes you will see the results. Sometimes you won't see the results. It doesn't matter. It's working. When I say you don't see the results because you're not with the person who cut you off in the car, you don't know what's happening in them. So this past week, we've had a lot of mass shootings. We've had the one in Gilroy, El Paso, this morning in Dayton. And it's horrifying. It's painful. It's exhausting, because for many of us, why can't we just change these laws that would save so many lives? How much outrage can we have? How much yelling can we have? So I see from so many on the spiritual path this incredible sense of both outrage and also infinite compassion being expressed. And it occurred to me that we also need infinite blessings, that we need, just as I was shifting the drive-by blessing, instead we hear drive-by shooting, well, let's shift that, do an alchemical transformation there. Drive-by blessing everywhere we go. We're blessing people. We're blessing. It becomes a conscious practice. Well, we need mass blessings. We need to hear about these mass blessings where we are blessing everybody, that collectively, if you're going to join a protest, I know, or a march, they don't call them protests, they call them marches now. There's, I believe, one this afternoon in Pleasanton. I don't know what time it's being held at. If you're going to participate in a march or in any collective social activism, may it be filled with blessings. May you be overflowing in blessings and knowing the infinite goodness behind the appearances. Because if we only stay at the level of appearances, we have compassion, we have warmth, we have softness, we have tenderness, but we don't necessarily have the active energy of change. And what we are looking for is an active energy of change. There is inertia sometimes that I believe we have to take care of ourselves. So, for instance, with gun control, it's become this polarity, a Republican divided issue, Republican, Democrat. I think there's something more going on, because I grew up with a father who was adamant that as kids we wear seatbelts. And this was long before the laws. It was in the 60s and 70s. And none of my friends had to wear seatbelts, so I was very aware that we had to wear seatbelts, and you could go in my friend's car and they didn't have to wear seatbelts. And he would just say, it's just statistically, look at the statistics. It's why would you even not wear a seatbelt? The level of survival and less body damage by wearing a seatbelt is so dramatic. Why would you not wear a seatbelt? And I'm saying because my friends don't have to, and it's a lot more freedom. You can wiggle around a lot more when you don't have seatbelt. I could think of all sorts of things that felt restrictive about seatbelts, why I liked being in my friend's car and not in my car. Eventually we passed seatbelt laws. We have to be protected from ourselves. There was so much fighting. Well, we want to have the freedom whether we use seatbelts or not. We want to have the freedom whether we use helmets for our heads. Somehow, when we have freedom, we do things that aren't for our highest good. The statistics, since we started using seatbelts and having seatbelt laws, the fatality rates are just so amazing, the shift. So if we get out of the polarity, or this is another way to divide our country, and it's just there's a part of us that resists taking care of ourselves, so we make laws to take care of ourselves. So having gun laws, and we look at countries who have gun laws, has an enormous impact on our safety and well-being, on how we take care of ourselves, on the infinite goodness of God being manifest on earth as it is in heaven. To me, that's what it becomes an issue of, is just protecting ourselves from ourselves. It's simple. And we don't want to often protect ourselves. I just keep going back to the seatbelt thing. My dad was right all along. I'm glad everyone's using these seatbelts. I'm glad less people are dying and suffering because of one little simple act of putting on a seatbelt. We need to protect ourselves from ourselves, but that is the infinite goodness of God. And so the more we continue to hold that divine appearance, blessing of the infinite goodness of God, then we can start accepting our good more and more. Because what we want to do is accept our good, and the highest good, beyond a doubt, is to have gun control laws. It is for everyone's highest good to have these laws. It is for our own safety and our own protection. It's not a political issue, it's a life issue. It's a saving lives issue. That's infinite goodness. How much infinite goodness can we accept into our world? How much infinite goodness? Well, we continue to bless. We bless everything that's happened and know the divine good. We're not blessing the appearances. That's what I want to keep reminding ourselves. I am not blessing the appearances. I am not blessing mass shootings. I am not blessing the act of. And I'm not sure I totally agree with the reading this morning when he says that we create these experiences so we can learn from them. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Maybe not. Do we create these mass shootings or not? Maybe subconsciously. I don't know. That gets into the more philosophical answers. The fact is they're happening. Whatever the why is, they're happening. They're hurting a lot of people, and they don't need to be happening. We didn't need those deaths in the car. That didn't need to be happening. It just doesn't need to happen. The infinite goodness of God. And it begins and ends with our own shift in consciousness. We've had this pain for so long. We have this divisiveness for so long. We can keep fighting and being divisive. But what everybody wants, where there is no division, is what everybody truly wants is the infinite goodness of God. And we feel that, I think, just as taking the seatbelts, having to wear a seatbelt was taking away some of our goodness, some of our freedom, so I couldn't have the same good by not having a seatbelt on. Because the truth is I really didn't wiggle around that much. I didn't wander around my car. I sat in a seat. It didn't take away all this goodness that I thought I was getting, and it certainly saves me every time I'm in an accident to have a seatbelt on. The fear is that some good is going to be taken from us. That's what the fear. When we stop the goodness, we think of good as taking. So we bless. We bless ourselves. We bless each other. We bless this country. We bless the planet, the environment, the events, the circumstances. We bless everything, everywhere, all the time, as much as we possibly can. In the collective, in our own individual life, we bless ourselves before we start our day. We bless the infinite goodness of our day pouring through in each and every one of us. We bless ourselves before we take a shower, before we eat our meals. We bless our drive. We bless everything. We become a mobile blessing unit, a mobile blessing lighthouse. Wherever we go, we are surrounding ourselves 360 degrees in blessing for the infinite goodness of God, and it is making a difference. I said today that we came here today to change the world. The more we collectively in this group, remember, a lighthouse can be small, but the impact is huge of a lighthouse. One lighthouse is impacting 360 degrees beyond what it can even know. That's what we're doing here today. We're holding in our hearts a blessing for this ourselves, for the people we love, for this Livermore Valley community, for the Bay Area, for the country, for the planet. We are blessing all people. We are blessing the environment. We are blessing all situations, circumstances, and conditions. We are not blessing the appearances of any of those things. We are blessing the truth behind those appearances, because that truth is not omnipotent. It is all-powerful. I'll just end with this one little note that one of my colleagues said, and I really liked it. He was reading someone saying, we're speaking truth to power. And he said, well, that's taking the power away from us. The power is in us. There's only one power, and that's the power of God. We're speaking truth to control, or truth to force, or truth to manipulation, but we're speaking from and as power. The power is within us. The power happens every time we bless something. And we don't have to make long 10-minute, remember the first invitation? Absolutely work on qualities of God, because that has deep, lasting, transformative impact to pray for a long time. But the drive-by blessings are equally as powerful because we're paying attention and we're doing it all the time. If I had to do a 10-minute blessing for everything that I saw, I wouldn't do it anymore. I just stopped. But the blessings, quick blessings all along the way, all day long, not one that overwhelm you, just quick blessings. I bless this person. I hope you're blessing right now. I hope you're blessing as you're having conversations after service today, that the person you're talking with, silently you're blessing them as you're talking with them. I hope as you leave here today and you have your lunch, you're blessing the meal. I hope you have, as you go into Christine's workshop, you're blessing the workshop and Christine. As you go to QuickFest, you're blessing the band and all the people listening to the music. I hope you're blessing what's happening in the world around us. All day long, may these blessings never stop, because that is changing the world. You are changing the world. We are changing the world, and we've started right here today, and I give thanks. And let's move into prayer now. And even as we go into prayer, we recognize that we receive prayer requests online through the prayer box. You have received prayer requests from people in your lives. Everyone here, and we know, as Reverend Michael says, the headlines are prayer requests. So we take all of these requests for prayer that are being asked, people asking for what they need, individually and collectively, what we need as a culture, what we need as a planet. We feel all those requests. Where do those requests go? Where all those prayer requests go? They go right here into this moment. They are collected into our heart and into our collective consciousness in this moment. All these prayer requests. And that we are not handling them humanly. This is not a human answer to people's prayers. Because we can't answer it. Today, as always, we turn our attention to that infinite wellspring within us that is beyond time and space and includes all time and space, recognizing that each and every one of us is a point of consciousness which includes the entire cosmos. The entire cosmos is within our consciousness right now, individually and collectively. The entire cosmos is within, through, and as us. And this entire cosmos was created in the image and likeness of goodness. goodness without end, goodness without condition, goodness without limit, infinite goodness where there is no opposite, where there is no other. There's nothing to fight against because there is nothing to be against, because anything that is against is temporary. And so we stand today collectively in this consciousness of infinite goodness without end, where there is no other, there is no opposite, there is only good, there is only good, there is only light, there is only joy, there is only creativity, there is only presence, there is only bliss, there is only love, there is only beauty. We are standing, moving, and having our being in, through, and as this pure light of being, this absolute nature of pure spirit, that we can never be outside of it, even if we tried. It is who and what each and every one of us is always already. It does not change. It is not temporary. It is not moving. It is who we are. It is who we have always been from even before we were birthed, through our entire childhood, our growth and development into adulthood, to who we are right now and who we are becoming, has absolutely been immersed always already in this always already light and love and beauty and harmony and grace. It has always been our foundation, and it always will be. It is our beginning, our Alpha and our Omega, and everything in between. We are immersed in this consciousness right here and right now. And as we feel and know this for our collective group here and now, we know this for our hurting and aching country. The hurt and the fear and the sadness and the anger, as we have had more mass shootings than days in this year. The divine presence is even greater than all of this. The divine love, the divine goodness, the divine joy, the divine peace, the divine clarity, the divine power is greater than all of this. And so we hold and bless behind these mass shootings is the divine presence of goodness. We bless each and every person who was involved in these mass shootings. We feel infinite compassion and sorrow for the experience. And we unite with all those who've had to experience this pain and the suffering. We unite to know there's no separation between our own pain and their pain, and we hold them. We are one with them. We are not separate in our suffering, and we are not separate in our perfection and our good. And in that place of oneness, we bless the truth. We bless the light, the love, the wholeness, the healing that is available right here and right now for everyone involved in these mass shootings, for everyone, including the shooters. We claim and accept healing for everyone, the wholeness and the perfection for everyone, And we live this blessing. We move and have our being as this blessing. We are unrelenting in holding this blessing. We are the prayer warriors of God. We are here, meant to be here at this time in this place to be these prayer warriors. We are needed, and our work is having a powerful impact even now. We are joining with spiritual communities all over this planet who are knowing the same reality and the same truth, and that tipping point is happening even now. The tipping point of this conscious collective awareness of the infinite goodness of God behind all appearances. And that goodness is now being accepted into form. That goodness is being accepted into ways that we can serve ourselves and the highest good for each and every individual. So those actions that need to be taken in form are happening inspired by the infinite goodness of God, pouring itself into form, pouring itself into creation, pouring itself into new ideas and new ways of being. We are that vehicle of this infinite goodness of pure spirit right here and right now. We are that yes. We are that new form and that new life happening right here, right now, in this very space. In deep and abiding gratitude for the power and the presence of this word being spoken, realized, and known as each and every one of us, I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, God, infinite, eternal one. We release this word into the law of life, knowing that as this word is spoken, it is done now. It is done now. In deep abiding gratitude and everlasting peace, we let it be, and we say together collectively, and so it is. Amen and amen.
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Yay! Blessings to all of you.